Melissa Gorga has spent 14 seasons on Real Housewives of New Jersey, presenting herself as the peacekeeper, the loyal wife, the girl boss boutique owner who just wants harmony in the family, and good vibes on the show. And while parts of that are real, she is still on that show after more than a decade. And she is clearly doing something right. There is a whole other side to this story that I want to get into today. The secret audition tape. The shoplifting arrest with an active warrant, the $30 million defamation lawsuit from her own business partner who accused her of stealing, the marriage book that Jezebel compared to advocating marital rape, the cheating rumors that have followed her across 11 seasons from 2 different friends and a former flame. The moment she pulled Joe away from his sister's wedding on the very day of the ceremony. And where all of it stands right now, because she just got confirmed for season 15, and RHONJ is officially back. So we are going to go ahead and break it all down. Let's start with who Melissa actually is before she became a housewife, because that backstory is something the show has never fully unpacked, and the audience deserves to know it. Melissa Ann Gorga, née Marco, was born March 21st, 1979 in Toms River, New Jersey. She grew up in a difficult household. Her father was chronically unfaithful to her mother, and Melissa has talked openly about what it was like to come home from school and find her mother curled up in a ball on the bed crying over him. She told the cast on the show, "My father sometimes would go get milk and come back a couple days later, so I grew up having trust issues with men." Her father died in a car accident when she was 17. She attended New Jersey City University, and while she was in college, she worked as a cocktail waitress at a strip club. She has always maintained she was a cocktail waitress, not a dancer, and denied the stripper allegations that would later surface on the show. But the job at the club is confirmed. She met Joe Gorga, Teresa Giudice's brother, in Cancun, according to multiple people who were around at the time. Now let's talk about how Melissa got on the show, because this is where it gets very, very interesting. The official story that Melissa has always told is that Bravo producers reached out to her, that she was discovered, that she did not campaign to get on the show, and she certainly did not do anything behind Teresa's back. Teresa's version, which she shared on the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip in 2021, is that producer Andy Cohen called her and told her Melissa had been sliding into his DMs, constantly trying to get cast. Melissa denied that version. But here's what John DeDolce said in 2023 when Melissa publicly accused her of trying to get on the show. John released a statement saying that it was actually Melissa who had written letters to Bravo pushing to get on the show, and that Melissa had Jan write letters too, not to get Jan on the show, but to campaign for Melissa to replace Teresa. Jan wrote, "I could have exposed her dirty play to have me write letters to Bravo so that they would cast her behind Teresa's back, which, of course, I didn't do." She also said she was offered money by multiple outlets over the years to expose Melissa and declined every time to protect her. "We were truly like sisters," Jan wrote. "I was privy to many events and circumstances with which I could have revealed who she really is and let her true colors show. But I never did. I stayed silent." Teresa also later revealed on her podcast Turning the Tables that Kim DePaula had told her about Melissa's original audition tape and described it as disgraceful. Teresa said producers told Kim that if she saw the tape, she would fall off your chair. The tape reportedly contained Melissa talking about Teresa in a way that was not kind. Melissa was never confronted with the tape publicly, and Bravo never released it. But the people who claim to have seen or heard about it have said the same thing. Melissa used the family drama, and specifically Teresa, as her ticket onto the show. That tells you everything you need to know about the foundation of what was about to play out on screen for 14 seasons. What also got exposed during the Season 2 rewatch era was that Melissa was at Teresa's events before she officially joined the cast. She appeared in the background at Adriana Giudice's christening in Season 2. She was at Gia Giudice's birthday party in Season 2. She was at Teresa's housewarming party in Season 2. And yet, the narrative that was planted, and that Melissa did nothing to correct, was that Teresa had essentially cut Joe and Melissa off, that the Gorgas were the wounded party trying to reconnect with a cold, dismissive sister. If Melissa was showing up at Teresa's events in Season 2, the family estrangement was clearly being sold to the cameras in a way that did not match reality. Both things can be true. The family had issues. But the idea that Melissa came onto this show purely to mend the family when she was simultaneously campaigning to replace Teresa and framing herself as the victim of Teresa's coldness is something the audience is only now, on rewatches, fully seeing. Now, I want to talk about the shoplifting arrest because people bring it up, but not everyone has the full context. In July 1997, when Melissa was 18 years old and still going by her maiden name Melissa Marco, court records show she was arrested in Palm Beach County, Florida for retail theft. According to the records obtained by Radar Online, the incident involved a shirt. She allegedly attempted to remove the tag and then took it outside in her purse. A warrant for her arrest was issued on October 8, 1997, after she failed to show up to her arraignment on October 6th. By 2012, the year after she joined RHONJ, the case had been dismissed. So legally, it was resolved. But honey, the fact that she missed her own arraignment and had an active warrant out for her arrest while she was presenting herself as a housewife who had never done anything wrong, that is a detail, and it is confirmed by public court records in Palm Beach County, Florida. Now let's get into the business mess, because this is the one that most people know about, but not in its full depth. In late 2015, Melissa opened a clothing boutique called Envy by Melissa Gorga in Montclair, New Jersey, alongside a business partner named Jackie Beard Robinson. Jackie had her own clothing store in Florida that she had run successfully before this partnership. In December 2016, and roughly a year into their business relationship, the partnership ended. And here is where the two versions of events split completely. On the October 4th, 2017 episode of RHONJ, Melissa told cameras that Jackie Robinson had snuck into the store in the middle of the night and stolen all the clothes. I woke up one morning and Envy was completely emptied. Not even a hanger left, Melissa said. Then she went on Watch What Happens Live, and Andy Cohen asked her if Jackie had ripped her off, and Melissa said yes. That exchange aired on national television to millions of viewers. Jackie Robinson's version, which she put on record in a federal lawsuit, was entirely different. She said she went to Envy in broad daylight on January 1st, 2017, and took the merchandise because it was hers. She said the partnership dissolved because she had discovered Melissa had misappropriated over $37,000 from the store without authorization. She also said that there was a signed agreement allowing her to take the merchandise and keep the proceeds. She filed suit against Melissa, Andy Cohen, NBC Universal, and a Sirens media production executive for $30 million, alleging defamation and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Her lawyer called the accusation of theft the worst kind of defamation because it made Jackie look like a felon and destroyed her reputation as a businesswoman. Bravo said the lawsuit had no merit. The case was ultimately ordered into arbitration by a judge instead of going to a jury trial. Jackie appealed. And then it appears the whole thing got lost during COVID, according to Robinson herself in a later podcast interview. Make that make sense? But there was also something else Robinson said after the fact. In an interview on the Beyond the Velvet Rope podcast, Jackie alleged that Melissa would pay herself from the store drawer and use the company card for personal expenses. She also said there was a flood that damaged roughly $10,000 worth of merchandise, and her husband was generous enough to offer Melissa 20% of the insurance check. According to Jackie, Melissa took the check and they never received their portion. "It burns me," Jackie said, "because we were nice enough to offer you, even after the store is settled and done, to give her 20% of it, and they took it." Melissa has denied all of these allegations, but the lawsuit, the arbitration, the accusations of misappropriating funds, and the business partner going to the media with receipts about the store. That is the full picture. Now let's talk about the book. Because, oh honey, in September 2013, Melissa published a relationship self-help book called Love Italian Style: The Secrets of My Hot and Happy Marriage. And the reviews were brutal. Not just critically, the book became a cultural flashpoint. Jezebel writer Tracy Egan Morrissey published a piece with the headline saying Melissa was advocating marital rape in the book. The Humanist called it anti-feminist. Cosmopolitan ran a piece highlighting the most troubling passages. Let me give you a sense of what the fuss was about. The book's central thesis, in Melissa's own words, is, husbands want their wives to submit. Wives want our husbands to dominate. Jo wrote interjections throughout the book, including this. Men, I know you think your wife isn't the type who wants to be taken, but trust me, she is. Melissa described her sex life with Joe this way. In the beginning, Joe wanted to have sex every single day. At least once, if not twice or 3 times. If I didn't give it to him once a day, he'd get upset. She also wrote that maintenance sex keeps the wheels greased, the lines of communication open, and the fights to a minimum, and described being not really in the mood, but doing it anyway because it meant a lot to Joe. Joe's passage in the book explaining why men cheat? He wrote that if a woman refuses to initiate, that is a top 3 reason men cheat, and that at that point, the ugliest girl in the world could come onto a man in that state of mind, and he might have to go for it. Melissa then essentially repeated that logic in her own words a few chapters later. Melissa pushed back on all of the coverage and called the rape framing disgusting and ridiculous. She said the book was about her marriage and what works for them, and that the passages were about consensual intimacy and playfulness, not coercion. She said, and these are her words from her Bravo blog, "Accusing Joe and I of promoting marital rape diminishes the real terror and violence of a forcible act of sexual violence." And look, I will give her that. She had a right to defend herself, but the book was written by her. Joe's words were included with her consent. Picture those words painted of their dynamic at home, Joe dictating the terms of their sex life, Joe not feeding babies or changing diapers, Melissa describing him as someone who needed to dominate and correct her from the first days of their marriage, was not a picture she was forced to put into print. She chose to put all of that in a book she sold to the public as a guide to a hot and happy marriage. Period. And speaking of John Giudice, who had known Melissa for 12 years and was a bridesmaid in that very marriage, Jan told All About TRH that she personally witnessed Joe slap Melissa in the face after she danced with one of his friends at an event, and he went into a jealous rage. Melissa has never addressed this claim publicly. Jan's account of the early relationship was that Melissa was not initially attracted to Joe, and the original appeal was his money. Jan said Melissa used to say directly that Brian, the ex-boyfriend who would later become central to the cheating rumors, did not have enough money, that she could not be with Brian because of his financial situation. Jan quoted Melissa saying while they were driving through a nice neighborhood, essentially that she was going to find a way into this lifestyle. Again, these are Jan's allegations. Melissa denies it all, but Jan had no reason to make it up, had turned down paid interviews for years, and only spoke out after Melissa accused her on her podcast of being the one who tried to get on the show. Now the cheating allegations. Because these have come up not once, not twice, but consistently across multiple seasons from multiple different sources, and I think that deserves its own section. The first serious round started during Season 5 filming when Melissa's ex-boyfriend Brian, known publicly as Brian Bulldog, surfaced on Twitter and began hinting that he had information about Melissa and their relationship after her marriage to Joe. He tweeted at the Gorgas directly and said he wanted to go on live TV to straighten this out. Around the same time, John Giudice appeared on the show as Melissa's friend, and then a few episodes later disclosed on camera that Melissa had met up with Brian after she was already married to Joe. Jan clarified she was not saying Melissa physically cheated, she was saying Melissa met up with her married ex-boyfriend in a parking lot. Melissa fired back and said Jan was only upset because Melissa had not mentioned her salon on the show. "I've never cheated on Joe," she told Us Weekly at the time. "This is all disappointing." Teresa admitted at the Season 5 finale that she had helped fuel the cheating rumors being discussed, which put her in the center of the story and gave Melissa the perfect pivot. Make it about Teresa's betrayal instead of the underlying allegations. The second round came in Season 13 in 2022 and 2023. Jennifer Aiden told castmate Danielle Cabral on camera that she had heard from Margaret Joseph's former associate that Melissa had been caught making out with a man in the backseat of a car. The man was later identified as an actor named Nick Barata, who Melissa and Joe have both described as a longtime close family friend who has been around them for years. Both his and Melissa's team denied anything inappropriate, but Teresa and Louis Ruelas escalated things significantly. Louis revealed on the show that he had hired Bo Dietl, described as one of the most famous private investigators in the country, to look into members of the group. He said Dietl had brought him information on each person in the cast, and it came out that Teresa and Louis had called Joe over to their house secretly, without Melissa, to tell him about the cheating rumor they had heard. Melissa found out her own husband had been summoned by his sister and her new husband to receive allegations about his wife's fidelity without Melissa being informed or present. And that was the moment. And that was the moment the marriage of a Gorga and a Giudice, the family reunion the show had built seasons trying to accomplish, went up in flames. In the season 13 finale, Melissa revealed that she had kept this secret for 6 months because she did not want to ruin Teresa's wedding. She swallowed it. She said nothing. She protected Teresa's big day, even while carrying around the knowledge that Teresa and Louis had been working behind her back. And then, at the filming of the season 13 finale party, Danielle Cabral brought it up on camera in front of everyone. Melissa had to hear the allegations she had kept quiet for half a year said out loud in public. And that morning, she and Joe made the call. They would not be attending Teresa's wedding. They went to the Jersey Shore instead. Joe posted to Instagram stories with Melissa's family. Blood doesn't make you family. That wedding absence broke the Giudice Gorga family publicly and irrevocably, at least for a while. 3 more years of estrangement followed. Teresa said at the season 13 reunion, "I can't wait to never fucking look at your face again after today." The kids stopped seeing each other. The families went their separate ways. And through it all, Melissa kept filming, kept running her boutique, kept doing her podcast, kept doing her thing. And then in September 2025, after a nearly 2-year pause in RHONJ production, Teresa started putting out feelers about reconciliation. She said, "Never say never." And by November 2025 at BravoCon in Las Vegas, Teresa confirmed the Giudice Gorga reconciliation. Teresa tried Melissa's sprinkle cookies for the first time. Joe said, "It's going great. It's going really good." Melissa said, "Just kind of how it should have been, to be honest. I don't know how it got to where it got. But thank God we're moving on because life is short. We have a lot of kids." And on March 24th, 2026, just 10 days ago, Bravo officially announced that Real Housewives of New Jersey Season 15 is a go, with Teresa Giudice, Melissa Gorga, and Dolores Catania returning as the core 3. Margaret Josephs is out after 7 seasons. New cast members will be announced. Filming starts this spring. Then Melissa told The Hollywood Reporter, "I will say, I appreciated the 2 years to be able to focus a little bit more on my projects and my businesses, but I'm ready to go back. I had a breather. I'm ready to go back to work whenever they want me." Different year, different season. Same Melissa. She is still standing. She started this run as Teresa's secret rival who slipped in through the back door of a show her sister-in-law built from the ground up. And she is returning for season 15 side by side with that same sister-in-law as one of 3 anchors of a franchise that is staking its entire reboot on this reconciliation. If that is not a glow-up story, even with all the receipts that come with it, I do not know what is. The question season 15 is going to have to answer is whether the piece is real or whether the pattern holds. Because Melissa Gorga has always had a way of being exactly who you need her to be when the cameras are rolling and something else entirely when they are not.